What is the weirdest thing you have done with a stranger? I was walking towards my flat when a police officer on a motorbike drove into the center of the upcoming junction and stopped to block the traffic. I heard a couple of helicopters overhead and realized it must be Obama's motorcade coming through. I knew he was visiting my country and was going to a conference in my city. Everyone gathered on the pavements. The guy next to me said excitedly, "I wonder who it is?" And not knowing if he was joking or not, I just said, "I think it's Obama," to which he nodded. We watched the motorcade drive past and then we just started chatting. And we walked along together deep in conversation until I came to my flat. He is a buddy on Facebook now. Thanks, Obama, sincerely. I don't really think this is weird, just a funny moment. Was in Budapest this summer with my friends and we went out to party at Simpla. Afterwards we went to a really small hamburger place to drunk eat what it's called in English, and as we were waiting for our food there was this boy and girl also waiting for theirs. I don't know where they were from, but they were speaking English, probably Europeans from different countries, and it was obvious that they didn't really know each other. They probably met the same night. A Justin Bieber song comes on in the tiny burger joint, can't remember which song. I was drunk and she loudly says, "Ugh, I hate Justin Bieber," to the guy, and he shyly replies, "I kinda like him," and me and my friends could sense the awkwardness between them. This may sound really cringy, but it wasn't. We start singing along to the song. The Hungarian burger guy joins in and the guy has the biggest smile on his face and starts singing too. The girl looked pissed. It was funny. I don't think he got laid that night. About a month ago I went to the pool at my apartment complex by myself. There was a woman in her 60s sunbathing, and when she saw me walk in she said she was surprised that someone else was using the pool because it's normally empty. I went for a dip and she followed me. She told me that she was visiting her son and that he had moved to this state recently after being in a long-distance relationship with a girl from Virginia Beach, but they broke up shortly after. She told me how he's her only son and how much she worries about him not having any friends in the area and how she worries about his mental state because he's a social guy and now he's alone. I also moved away from home to this state because I dated someone long distance that lived here, but things didn't work out. So it was almost as if I was having a conversation with my own mother. We talked for hours and bonded over our similarities and talked about restaurants around the area, her son, her family, my job, etc. She told me that her son was having a boys' day with his dad and she was sad that she wasn't included and would spend the day by herself, but was happy that she met me. By the end of it she asked me my apartment number and asked if she could come over once her son was back so that I would meet him because she would feel better knowing that he has a friend here. I told her she could, but she didn't come over. A couple of days later, while I was in the parking, a guy came over and asked if I was the guy that hung out with his mom. He said she ended up getting food poisoning and felt bad that she didn't come over, but she keeps bugging him to come to my apartment and introduce himself, but he didn't want to be weird. I now have a new friend in it. Whoever sent the platinum, thank you. Finally somewhere to share this. I was at an anime convention. I was exhausted from walking around all day, so I went to sit down and rehydrate. Some dude around my age sits down next to me and we end up talking. He seemed pretty cool. He pulls out a Nintendo Switch and offers me a controller, so why the hell not? So I spent the next hour playing Mario Kart with a stranger because neither of us had anything better to do, and honestly it was such a fun experience. I was out one night having a few drinks with friends, when a guy sitting at a table a few meters away shouted, "Holy shit, you're wearing my favorite t-shirt. I lost mine 4 years ago." So I was thinking, what the fuck is happening right now? Then he approached me and asked if we could swap t-shirts, explaining how it was actually a t-shirt he wore all the time and that it had sentimental value to him. He was clearly a size small and I was wearing a large, but me being slightly drunk thought it was a good idea. We went into the bathroom, swapped t-shirts, and then went back to our own tables to enjoy the rest of the night. I had a feeling he was just messing around for a bit of fun, but I was more than happy to sit for the rest of the night getting drunk in a small tight as fuck t-shirt while nodding at the dude every so often. Good times. I breathed next to a stranger once. I had the rare experience of flying on a nearly empty airliner. Practically the only on-duty stewardess on the plane sat next to me and we watched Breaking Bad on my laptop for 5 hours. I got many free Diet Cokes and a friend. During the Free Hugs campaign, I found some students in the city doing the same thing. The girl who was a little overweight but incredibly cute offered a free hug, and I said no thanks, I'm honestly more into kissing. She then proceeded to give me a very long, and oddly passionate kiss, to the cheering of the students around us. One of the other guys there came up and said something along the lines of "You guys are making the rest of us huggers jealous." I don't know if it was the comedic timing I'm blessed with, or the adrenaline going through my veins, but I just grabbed him and proceeded to kiss him just as hard, and I could tell that he was not expecting it, but after the initial shock, he got super into it. I am straight, so I had to put a stop to that after only a couple of seconds. Everyone laughed, I waved my goodbyes, and I've never seen them since. Not weird, but I made out with a total stranger on a flight from Montevideo to Sao Paulo to Frankfurt. We started talking approximately 30 minutes into the 11-hour flight and hit it off right away. After dinner, we started drinking wine and I mustered up the courage to ask her for a kiss, and to my surprise she leaned over and kissed me. That must have been 2 hours into the flight. From that moment on, it was French kissing and groping over and under our clothes until we landed in Frankfurt. Best flight ever. I asked her for her number and she wrote it down on the Der Spiegel magazine I'd bought before boarding the plane in Montevideo. Unfortunately, I lost the magazine on a train from Frankfurt to Freiburg im Breisgau. Well, I was driving for Lyft and this was my very last ride at 5 a.m. Had a guy in the back seat of my car reach up and start rubbing my nipples. I guess this counts as the weirdest thing a stranger has done to me. I'm a guy, sorry, that was probably an important part one left out. It might seem weird, but I vividly remember this time I was just taking a break from all the noise and excitement from an anime convention. I just wanted to unwind. Mario Kart it was, but it's not fun to play it alone. Long story short, I pulled up my Switch and played for an hour with a stranger while regaining my energy. My boyfriend and I once convinced a random American dude to go on a night drive with us after we closed up the restaurant we worked at because it seemed like he had a terrible time in our city. He was a customer and turned up alone, tired looking and sorta beaten about an hour before closing, and we wanted to show him what we loved about it, even if we only had a couple of hours. He told us he was a student and that this was his first trip to Asia and he was doing it alone, and agreed to join us for the evening. Even though my boyfriend and I were exhausted, we had an awesome time. We drove around the city's sights and showed him the best photography spot of the tallest towers in the city, showed him Chinatown and got a drink at our favorite hidden bar most tourists wouldn't have known to find. It was a great end to a terrible day for the three of us. We haven't talked since, but I kinda like it like that. Was taking the bus once and as usual there are a lot of people there, so I tried to squeeze my way to the back, cause you know more room back there. Anyways, there is a seat open near the front next to a girl. She had black short hair, not too hot looking but can't complain, and she had a mustache. A woman mustache fairly visible, and I didn't even have one at the time. Anyways, she asks me to sit next to her, so I wasn't really sure if I wanted to, but then she's like, I won't bite. So I'm like, oh, okay, I guess. Then she just starts talking about the weather and some other random stuff I can't even remember, but I was listening to everything she said. Anyways, her stop came and she said, okay, I'll see you later. I'm like, okay, see ya. The next day I was kinda looking forward to see her on the bus, but she wasn't there, nor the day after. I never saw her again, but I'll never forget her and her mustache will always hold a special place in my heart. 3 strangers, one nice, one nasty, one confusingly aggressive. I was standing in a London tube station, I forget which one, but maybe King's Cross. Suddenly a random man ran down the steps and very deliberately charged into the woman next to me, knocking her to the ground so the contents of her bag spread all around. I looked at him, he said indignantly she thinks it's a fucking joke. And then ran off, pursued by 2 other guys who had seen this. I started helping the woman pick up her stuff. When I asked if she knew the attacker, she said no and started crying. A minute or so later, one of the guys who had given chase came back into the station, came over to me and aggressively asked, are you a fucking pussy or what? Apparently he thought I was with the woman who got attacked and hadn't cared enough to stand up for her. When he finally understood that we were strangers and I'd been helping her up, he did a fake punch to see if I'd flinch. I didn't, then walked off. This all happened in about 3 minutes on the day I returned to England, having spent a year living in Mexico. A very odd welcome home. Thank you for watching. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more daily Ask Reddit videos.
Shutterstock Music. Shutterstock Music.